All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm going to call to order the Government Operations Committee meeting for September 11th. First agenda item is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this item is not on the agenda, but since it is September 11th, I would like to take a motion or a moment of silence for those that were lost 16 years ago today. All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to approve. Motion by Romano, support by Lucido. Vote on your iPads. I believe unanimously passes. All right, next is the approval of the minutes dated August 28th, 2017. Need a motion to approve. Motion by Carabelli, support by Commissioner Drolet. Vote on your iPads. Next is public participation. Anybody from the public wishing to speak has 5 minutes to address this body. Anybody from the public? Once, twice? All right, seeing none, we'll close public participation. And we'll move on to item 6A, appointments. Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board. We have 2 vacancies for a 3-year term to expire on 9/20/2020. And we have 4 candidates, and I believe a couple of them are here. The first is Nancy Buell. She called ahead and said she had a scheduling conflict and could not make it. Katie Donovan, are you here? Would you like to come up and introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Katie Donovan, and I am the CEO of A Mother's Addiction Journey, and I'm the Vice President of Families Against Narcotics. I'm also the co-founder of Hope Not Handcuffs, as well as on the board of Operation RX. And unfortunately, I'm also the mother of an addict. And these are words that I never thought would come out of my mouth. These were titles I never expected to have. I was that PTA mom, the brownie leader, and I also had a corporate career for a semiconductor for just over 20 years. I was in the marketing and client relations field, and when my family experienced this journey that we never expected, and that's what I call it, a journey, because I don't know if it will ever end, because there isn't a cure. Anything can happen at any time. I knew the struggles that families face every single day on how to find resources, getting rid of the stigma, the shame of not wanting to talk about it. And I want to remove that. And I ended up leaving my career and dove into this crazy thing that I'm doing now, but it's the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. And I see, my husband and I were both born and raised in Macomb County. Our children are here, of course. They go to Macomb County schools. And we also have a community that is dying. This isn't somebody else's problem. This is our problem. This is something that we have to come together as a community to take care of. I have a blog that I started about a year ago, really for no reason but some self-healing, to be honest with you. And I wrote a couple of pieces, and I've never written before. Let me just preface that. And I never built a website before. I was Googling how to build a website and watching YouTube videos of 12-year-old kids in China that know way more than I do. And I kind of threw it out on Facebook, not knowing what to expect, but just taking a kind of a big, deep breath and saying, you know what, we're the poster family for addiction. This is the typical family that is suffering right now. And within 30 days, my blog hit over 1 million people in 146 countries. That made me realize this isn't an inner city problem. This isn't a problem that's in another state. This is a worldwide issue that we have to face. I recently was very honored to win a leadership award out of Boston from an organization called PARI, the Police Assisted Recovery Initiative. And it was for my leadership work, for the advocacy that I've been doing and pouring my heart into. And I'm very honored of this. Richard Baum, the drug czar from the White House, was there and presented me with this award. Last night, a couple of nights ago, if anyone watched the Channel 4 special on opiates, my daughter was the one that closed it out at the end with her statement. She had been clean for about 2 years and recently relapsed. And I know that anything can happen at any time, and I want to put my heart and soul into this community. I want to make Macomb County not just the leader in Michigan, but the leader in the U.S. I have a network of people that I partner with throughout the nation, and I see things that they're doing in their communities that we can model here. We can't wait for somebody else to take care of this. We have to take care of this ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Do any commissioners have any questions? Okay. Commissioner Lucido.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. I remember meeting you at the Hope Not Handcuffs.
Yes.
And was very impressed with your story and the work that you're doing. And
thank you.
I just want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Any other commissioners? All right, seeing none.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We will be voting on this at the full board meeting on Thursday, okay? Next is Brandon Kuzmano. Is he here? Not seeing him. Is Ellen Monroe here? Ellen, come on up and introduce yourself. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you. My name is Ellen Monroe. I'm a General Motors retiree. I've been on the board for the last 3 years, and I'm also I'm a member of the recovery community. I'm in recovery myself. I do some other work with recovery type things. I volunteer at the Macomb County Jail. I go in there once a month and facilitate a support group meeting. And I do some other volunteer work too. I work with the Detroit Public Schools and the Detroit Reading Corps. So I go in there and work with preschool students to help them learn to read. So I wanted to say I've really appreciated being on the board the last few years. I hope to be reappointed because it's like Katie was saying, it's more important now than probably ever. Macomb County does a lot of good work in this area, so I hope to be involved with more of it in the future. I think that's all I have. If anybody has questions.
Any questions? All right. Commissioner Toko.
Thank you. This is you're asking for a reappointment, is
Yes,
that
correct. I've been on it for 3 years.
For 3 years? What was your attendance at the meetings? Were you able to
28,
attend
we
the
had
meetings?
33 meetings, I think, and I was there for 28 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
All right.
I had to
Thank
get them
you.
to help me with it, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, are these general appointments to this board, or do we have to have certain categories that we must fit?
There's 2 categories. There's 2 that I believe are MISD. Hold on, let me load up the agenda. Yep, Ellen and Katie are in the same group.
Correct.
Yes, Brandon and Nancy are the other group.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work on the board so far.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes.
All righty, with that, again, like I said, we'll be voting on the appointments Thursday at the full board meeting. And I don't believe we need a motion to forward that or anything like that. So with that, we will move on to item number 7A, budget review from the Ethics Board. Dr. Amboyer.
I'll do my standard introduction,
Thank you,
which
Steve.
is very quick for the Ethics Board because there's a small budget. It's on page C34 of your budget document. The budget for 2018 is being recommended at $14,600. It's a slight decrease, about $4,400 from 2017. And we were trying to reduce the budget where we could, but we wanted to leave Dr. Amboyer, some room to, operate the Ethics Board at his discretion. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Amboyer.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Chair, Dr. Amboyer, representing Macomb County Ethics Board, and I'm pleased and honored to be here today to present the budget. It was submitted to the Finance Department on June 22nd. I believe you've all had an opportunity to review the submittal. We concur with the recommendation of the Finance Board, the Finance Department, as well as the County Executive in terms of the budget for fiscal year 2018. I would like to note, however, since the inception of the Ethics Board in 2012 through 2016, the annual budget was $59,000. For the fiscal year 2017, it was reduced to $19,000, and understandably so. The Ethics Board, feel that we're very conservative with taxpayer dollars, just as the Board of Commissioners and the County Executive is, and we haven't spent money needlessly or wantonly by any means. Of the $19,000 budget, we have spent $2,817 to date, $2,500 of which, that $2,800, was for a licensing fee for the online training program, which is no longer in existence. So, in effect, we've been quite frugal with the monies that have been appropriated by the Board of Commissioners, and we do appreciate those in the past. It's been provided to us. In our submission for the funds, we have indicated the goals, which are also indicated in the board. Whereas our first goal is to suggest that there be significant revisions to Enrolled Ordinance 2016. We've had some very serious difficulties insofar as operationalizing that particular ordinance. In addition to that, we are working in conjunction with Corporation Counsel to improve our rules of procedure to be in accordance with that particular ordinance, 2016-3. We've also considered, and will consider during 2018, whether it would be necessary to retain legal counsel for the Ethics Board due to a variety of circumstances that have occurred so far in this current fiscal year. We hope not to. Again, using the resources that we have to be able to continue without retaining legal counsel, but on the other hand, it may become necessary. You may or may not be familiar with the workload, but it's quite substantial for a volunteer board that serves without compensation. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into preparing for the meetings and responding to the public with complaints and concerns that they have. It's very time consuming, to say the least. We're also looking forward to, in our fourth goal for 2018, is to explore the possible changes in some ethics board bylaws that we have in place. And also we're hoping to represent the county in one day of being awarded a National Association of Counties Award for Excellence. We happen to believe that the Macomb County Ethics Board is not only serving the Board of Commissioners, the county executive in an exemplary way, but also the citizens of Macomb County. And we're familiar with the work that has been done and has not been done by other counties throughout the nation, and being quite familiar with the work that the Macomb County Ethics Board has done, we're hoping to one day be recommended to achieve a National Association of Counties Award in Excellence, a NACO award. In terms of our long-term goals, we're hoping to also reinstate the online learning program. It's been quite successful in the past. However, it's been suspended due to the changes in the ethics ordinance itself, where that curriculum is no longer appropriate for the ordinance that's in place currently. If in fact that there's ever a change in the ordinance and it's updated, then hopefully we can reinstitute the online training on behalf of the staff and, more importantly, the citizens of Macomb County. And with that, I really don't have any further comments. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to attempt to answer the questions of the commissioners. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Drolet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Dr. Amboyer. I think my first question might be for the Finance Department. So, ready for it? Okay. It's obvious that the previous, 2015, 16, the budget was, in the $2,000 range, and then we jumped it up significantly for some reason in 2017. And I know there was some online training and that sort of thing, but why don't we set the budget reasonably close to what we expect the actual spending to be? I mean, if we've been spending in the $2,000 range, why would we have automatically moved it up to $14,600?
Well, I can tell you that in prior years, up until 2017, the budget was 59,000. So you're looking at actual spends.
Uh-huh.
So the budget was reduced in 17 down to 19,000. We did reduce supplies and services, which is printing. So we reduced that line item by $4,000 this year, still leaving some room for some degree of printing. The contract services, if I'm not mistaken, is mainly for training materials. And legal as well.
Legal has primarily been the concern.
So what could possibly balloon the budget from the couple thousand we've been spending the last few years up to 14,000? What things are we leaving room for? What in case type stuff?
Well, again, the contract services is meant for legal services if in case the ethics board needed to hire outside legal counsel. I guess I'll leave that to Dr. Amboyer.
Right. If in fact there's a need for legal counsel, outside legal counsel, we've had extremely good relationship with Corporation Counsel. It's been very effective. However, there may be a need in the future to have outside counsel. But in addition to that, the expenditure has been for the development of online training services. I volunteered my time in terms of developing the curriculum and so on. However, when that was implemented, it was approximately $15,000 to do it. In conjunction with a partner to bring it online and keep it and activate it and so on, in addition to the full curriculum development. So that was part of the service, part of the budgetary services for professional services was the online training. Those are the two greatest potential expenses.
Well, I'm sorry, just to clarify that, there was a previous cost of around $15,000 for that particular program or that particular online product.
Yes, sir.
In what year did we incur that cost roughly?
That was, I believe that was 2014.
Okay, so it's before my piece of paper in front of me, but.
And then there's annual licensing fees, and we paid a $2,500 licensing fee this year, and then terminated the program due to the change in the ordinance.
I see. Okay, if I may, with just a few more questions, Mr. Chair, thank you. Can you give me an idea of what were the number of complaints that were filed before the Ethics Board in the last year? Or,
that's included in the annual report, which was recently submitted. I believe, I don't have that number in front of me, it's not outrageous. I think there were 7 ethics complaints were filed. There were a number of advisory opinions requests were also submitted, which is time consuming. And then there was approximately 25 inquiries that were made, either written inquiries or phone inquiries that really didn't pertain to the ethics board. For instance, I had one the other day relative to a case in Warren, relative to a police situation. It doesn't pertain to the county ethics board. So those are time consuming, although it might not look so statistically.
Okay. And with the 7 complaints, roughly, do you know how many hearings the ethics board, how many times the ethics board has met to review the complaints or issue a determination on a complaint?
Well, there was 2 such hearings, and then there was a fine that was levied in 2016.
Right. So the other complaints were just deemed not worthy of following up on?
Well, they're all worthy of following up on, but there's a question as to whether or not they're in fact true ethics complaints in accordance to the ordinance.
Okay.
So they were some were dismissed, but in fact the majority were dismissed. The other 2 were acted upon. So
the 2 were the only ones where the findings were there was an official finding made and released, essentially.
That's correct.
The others did not reach that stage for whatever reasons.
That's correct.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you very much, Doctor. I appreciate your work.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, you're welcome. Next up is Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Doctor. When do you anticipate possibly putting another training thing together for the employees?
When and if there's a change in the ordinance. The current ordinance really, it needs to be revised with all due respect. It just does not, it just is not working, quite frankly. And there's no point in wasting money in developing training for an ordinance that's very difficult to carry out, quite frankly. And I'm not willing to put in another 100 hours to develop a curricula and then just have it be fruitless because of the need of change for the ordinance.
Okay, is there something that's going to be coming to the board to look at it?
Commissioner Carabelli, there's been a request to all of our commissioners, to the ethics board, to all of the county five, the elected, about requested revisions for the ethics policy. Dr. Amboyer submitted a host of them, so have a number of other people and departments. So we are now, I think we have everybody's who was planning on submitting, except for Commissioner Kleinfeld, and we're going to bundle them together, let our council look at them and get together and start, figuring this whole thing out, because with all the requested revisions, there's quite a bit of work to do. So that is in the process, and I'm sure you are aware of it because you submitted those requests, and we will be looking at all of them to see what the best thing we can come up with. And not only will we look at them, but we'll work with everybody who submitted them on them too, and discuss this with them. All right, thank you.
On behalf of the Ethics Board, we did submit a list of a minimum of 25 recommendations to enhance the ethics ordinance. And we respectfully submitted them to the board chair, vice chair, and we graciously appreciate the review and taking the suggestions under consideration.
All right, next is Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, you're absolutely correct that it needs to be revised. The last one did as well, because there were sections of it that didn't follow the Open Meetings Act. This one goes too far to the other direction, and there needs to be some changes made to that. And I see some other areas I'd like to simplify or make some changes to. But just so commissioners know, my meeting with regard to this is tomorrow at 11, where I'm going to go over everything I have, and then they'll have everything, and they'll be working on it. So I just wanted you to know that. My question is with regard to the legal. Unless it is a dispute between the ethics board and the county exec's office, wouldn't the legal be assigned by corporate counsel, as we have in other cases? We turned down somebody else who requested their own legal for their budget, because that's what I thought. Steve, did you hear any of that?
I believe you're referring to the clerk's office.
Yeah, but unless a situation arises where there's a legal dispute between the ethics board and the county exec's office, where that puts the corporation counsel in a bad spot. In every other situation, if there were suits filed against them, wouldn't it be out of the corporate counsel's office that the assignment of the attorney comes and the payment for that attorney?
Not to interrupt, but I have to say this. There is no dispute whatsoever with the county executive's
No,
office.
I'm not.
Nor with the board of commissioners.
I think it's very clear. I'm not insinuating that. He understands.
Okay.
I'm laying the groundwork for a question. I don't believe there is one, and I think that everybody understands that.
Right.
So
our understanding is the ethics board, when the money was appropriated, if in fact that there was a need for outside counsel, that couldn't. Legal services couldn't be provided by corporation counsel. We would discuss that with corporation counsel. They in turn, and I hate to speak for Mr. Schapka here, but they in turn would decide whether outside counsel would be appropriate to assist the ethics board and attain that. And in fact, that did happen this year. So we have a very good working relationship with.
Right. This is actually a financial question.
Okay.
It's not a question for, I know I was a little rough with you the last time. I'm not being rough on you, okay?
Thank you.
It's a question for our finance director relative to how we've done these in the past.
So the way I look at that is that money is there in case Corporation Counsel has to recuse themselves from a case, and the Ethics Board, being sort of an independent body, would have to have its own money for outside counsel. If you'll recall, there's also money in the board office budget and the executive's office in case there's a dispute between those two offices.
Yes.
And similarly, since the Ethics Board is sort of an independent body from those two bodies, they would need their own money for legal services in case of the corporation not recusing themselves.
Okay.
Point of information, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you. Steve, I don't remember it like that, the way it was just explained. I remember we had money in the account for legal services. They needed it. We ended up lowering it down from 50 to 20, the way I remember it. And that if they ever needed it, they would come back to the board and we would they would make a recommendation, would come back to the board and we would approve it. I didn't know that this would circumvent the board and just go to Corporation Counsel for him to hire outside counsel for him. I'm confused.
No, I mean,
No,
that's
he had
how
to
we,
recuse
that's
himself.
how we did it.
Yeah.
We've had other requests for money in their budget for legal, and we have said in those cases that it is the county exec's prerogative, actually, not the individuals, to choose the attorneys. And where are the funds coming out of for the other cases that we were talking about with regard to Ms. Springer? There's some whistleblower. Whose funds are those coming out of?
That would come out of the liability insurance fund. There's chargebacks for all the departments through payroll fund.
Okay, and he doesn't have a big enough budget to have a chargeback. Okay.
Point of information.
Again?
Yes, because you say something again, and I respectfully disagree. I don't understand the office of the executive wouldn't tell them what attorney firm to hire or even Corporation Counsel. They, on their own, as an independent body, would make their recommendation to the board for them to hire their independent counsel. Unless this all changed, I thought as a separate body, they were supposed to come back for a budget amendment if they needed those funds.
Okay, I was speaking specifically to another situation, and so I was asking what the difference is between the two. So I wasn't speaking specifically to this one as much as I was trying to understand the difference. I'll relinquish, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, Dr. Amboyer, I don't think you realize how much was involved in this volunteer stuff. Are you happy now that you got involved?
I would like some help in recruiting members. We're having difficulty recruiting replacements, but it's been an enjoyable, educational past 5 years, Commissioner. So I look forward to completing my term.
We appreciate your work. I know you got it upstairs, so thanks for taking it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, Doctor, I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So for fines and forfeitures, year to date, $125, correct? That's what I'm looking at right here?
That was a 2016 case where there was a fine levied. The first fine levied of $125 has not yet been collected. There was a fine that was levied in this fiscal year that was collected.
So those fines are folks that come in front of the board and are found guilty and are fined a certain dollar amount because they...
There's a provision in the ethics ordinance that the ethics board can fine an individual up to $500 for a civil infraction of being in violation of the ethics board. In a case in 2016, there was an individual that was fined $150. That amount has not yet been paid.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to working on a new ordinance with you because I personally find some of the punishments embarrassing. So I'm looking forward to that. But are there any other commissioners that have any questions? All right, seeing none, I need a motion to receive and file. Motion by Lucido, seconded by Carabelli. Vote on your iPads. Thank you for coming today, Doctor.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, budget review from the County Executive's Office, starting with Steve and then Deputy Deldin.
The Executive Office budget is on page C25. The total budget for 2018 is $1,568,000, which is about an $18,000 decrease from 2017, and that primarily is due to the change in the way we're allocating pension and retiree health care charges. I mentioned that in my budget overview a few weeks ago. The operating budget is unchanged from one year to the next. No new positions. I will try to maybe answer a question in advance that may or may not have been answered or asked, but you'll see on the employee health, dental, life insurance line that the budget for 2018 is about $136,000. It was $131,000 in 2017, and we're spending somewhere in the neighborhood of half of that. And what's happening there is it sticks out more in this department because there's only 10 employees. So we budget health care for every employee in the department, and about 6 folks in the department actually have other insurance and get the insurance bonus. So that is then reflected in the full-time wage line item. So it may look like we're not spending the money, but we are in another line item because we don't know who's going to take the insurance bonus, who's not. So we budget it all in the health care line. Other than that, the budget's very consistent. Chief Deputy Deldin is here to answer any other questions you might have in terms of operational aspects of the department.
Good evening. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Carabelli, go for it.
Supplies and services going up for what reason again? I go back and look at 15, 16.
Supplies and services are not going up from 17 to 18. Well, maybe what, $240 or something, $232.
Okay, I guess, let me digress.
From the 2017 amended to the 2018 recommended.
What was the reason though, why it went up from 16 to 17 and continues?
Probably, under supplies and services, we probably just round it up.
Okay, vehicle operations. 17 amended, and then it carries that number all the way through to 20. Previous to that, it's about half that, or a little bit more than half.
Right, and Steve, that is for any of the elected officials that have a car? Is that what that's for? It's for repairs and maintenance?
Repairs and maintenance and gas.
Yeah, repairs, maintenance, and gas. So the car that the only person in this office that has a county car issued to them is the county executive, and that is probably, I'm thinking it's a 2014. Don't quote me on that. So it gets older each year. So we just keep it at a steady 6, not knowing if we're going to be hit with a repair, an unexpected repair, or not. But that's the only thing that comes out of that. Again, is the upkeep and the gasoline.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other one's going to be contract services.
Sure.
2016, it looks like there was about $112,800 spent.
Yes.
The recommendation is for $158,500. Now, it's estimated for the year, this year, we're only going to be at $43,714. That's
Right.
about $112,000, $115,000 increase. Can you explain?
Well, we certainly try not to spend any of it at all, but from year to year, depending on what's going on and what needs the county executive may have, this budget gives him the ability to contract with consultants, on a part-time or a minimal basis to get information or whatnot. It was higher in previous years, and again, we hope not to spend any of it, but again, it gives it gives the elected official the ability to, if needed.
And then just to follow up on that, Mr. Deldin, I know our office has been asking about like a subcategory, say for contract services or for supplies and services. A lot of us like to see those subcontract, and I know that our chair has sent an email over to you, and I know that you responded that you're going to get back to us.
Yes.
Just an update on that, if you could, for us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, tomorrow we're having a staff meeting. We typically meet with the county executive every Monday, but he wasn't available today. We pushed it back. I'm not going to be the one making that only decision. I'll provide input, so we will have a decision on the request ASAP, I expect, in the next couple of days.
Okay. Thank you. Always good to see you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Mr.
Anyone
Chair.
else? Is that it?
Any other commissioners? I don't see any on the board here.
Okay.
All right, I don't see any. Hold on one second. Oh, no, you're good. All right, need a motion to receive and file. Motion by Commissioner Leonetti, seconded by Commissioner Toko. Vote on your iPads. And that passes unanimously. Next is closed session. I need a motion to go into closed session. Motion by Commissioner Lucido, second by Commissioner Drolet. Vote on your iPads. All right, Sergeant at Arms, clear the room, please. All right, Commissioners, we are back. Agenda item 9, Department recommendations, settlement recommendation. Need a motion to forward to Finance. Motion by Commissioner Leonetti, seconded by Commissioner Toko. Vote on your iPads. Motion passes unanimously. Next are 2 proclamations. One commending Ryan Wirebaugh for achieving the status of Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts of America, and the other is proclaiming September 11th through September 17th as Patriot Week and September 17th as Constitution Day in Macomb County. Take a motion to move them both in full to Finance. Motion by Commissioner Drolet, seconded by Commissioner Brown. Vote on your iPads. Passes unanimously. New business. Any commissioners with new business? Going, Commissioner Leonetti.
Mr. Vice Chair, you've done an excellent job as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else with real new business? No, seeing none. All right, we'll close new business. Public participation. Seeing nobody, we will close public participation. With that, move to adjourn. Motion by Commissioner Drolet, seconded by Commissioner Romano. Everybody vote on your iPads.